Hey guys, it's Kristen. Just so you understand that the reason we put this page together, the YouTube channel, was because of the fact that we were seeing so many things wrong within the training that was going on, and especially with the civilian side of the training, because they're not doing it right, and it's hard to go over every little thing that they're doing wrong. But I didn't find this bill until after I had already started the channel. And what this bill is I've mentioned it, but it's a bill AB742 to ban police apprehension dogs. And what they're proposing is that apprehension dogs, the patrol dogs that are being used more so on black or African Americans, and they're also that it's 2 times more likely than any other group to be subjected to this use of force. In fact, the report shows clearly that canine contracts per capita for the black and Hispanic communities, or contacts, I'm sorry, are less than that of the white community. It's also known that there were no deaths from canine deployments. They have used wording from a report that combines all use of force reports, including firearm reports, which appear to be the sole source of the use of force deaths in the report. Okay, so Bob was addressed in this actual article, one of the articles in reference to this. Bob Eden. This is from Eden Group Canine. This is where I found his take on the article. It says, first and foremost, in the entire history of the use of police dogs in North America, there are only 3 suspect-related deaths which have occurred due to deployment of police dogs. Compare that to the number of deaths related to the use of force tools, such as the electrical conductive devices, which is the tasers, and the rate it's infinitesimal by comparison. Three out of hundreds of thousands of deployments over many decades of police dog applications, none of which have ever occurred in the state of California. The use of force by police dogs is one of the best tools an officer has to take violent and potentially dangerous suspects into custody with the least potential to result in suspect death. The comment in AB 742 stating that police dogs were responsible for 12% of the cases that resulted in severe injury or death is deceptive. There were no deaths of any suspect related to police dog bites, and this statement in AB 742 is deceiving and inflammatory. What Bob did whenever they interviewed him in reference to this was he mentioned the fact that there seems to be a lot of laissez-faire in the United States, especially when it comes to civilian trainers. And because of that, the damage that's done with the bite and hold and having to choke your dog off and all that kind of stuff, which was never within, at least not within North American Police Sport Dog Association standards, and it shouldn't be the practice that's being used out on the road. And this is where we're having issues with, with the civilian sector, because they're doing what's the newest trend and what they think is right, but they have no clue because they've never been on the road, they've never had to apprehend somebody. Therefore, their training does not consist of anything that is real world. They can try to recreate it, but it's not real world. When you get out there, your body goes through a physiological change, the dog's body goes through a physiological change, and you have to maintain control of both. But if your teaching practices are that when the dog bites, he's going to bite the weak arm, which does no good, or he's going to bite the back left shoulder so that he's in a quote-unquote safe spot, well, what do you do when the guy has got excited delirium? Do you even know what excited delirium is? Where are the pressure points on the body that will actually gain more control over the subject? What happened when that guy in Jupiter was eating the guy's face and had superhuman strength, and the dog, the only thing that kept this guy from completely and totally destroying the the victim's face, who actually wound up dying, was the fact that the dog was able to grab a hold of his arm and pull him backwards and hold him and keep him from going any further. But what arm was he holding? You know what I mean? The civilian sector is really doing damage to good police dog programs. It really is. Now, I had an issue back when I was actually doing training with California, because at the time, California, in their program, as soon as they would yell out to stand still, the dog would automatically stop and let go. He would release. So you can go to two different extremes. One, the civilian sector has a tendency to not be able to get the dog to release. They want to bite and hold, and usually it's on the weak arm, which does absolutely no good. I mean, it's useless. If the strong arm is still, and when they do their bite videos, it cracks me up. It's almost like the right arm is broken. It's incapacitated. It can't do anything. Then they're biting them on the inside of the weak arm, in the armpit or up near the armpit, and all you have to, and you're leaving both hands and both arms, both legs. It doesn't matter. All they have to do is get wrapped up. It's causing maximum damage with the least amount of effectiveness. So if you want to come on here and complain, because I'm telling you right now, I have worked for the civilian sector and I didn't train anything that they told me to train. I did it the way I learned how to do it in the first place. And the reason I did is because I knew what was effective according to what I had learned. So all I have to say is, if you're going to train dogs, then train them the right way. And if you don't have any experience on the road, get somebody that actually does. Get somebody that has tactical military experience, at least, something. But don't go out there with somebody who's never made a car stop, never got into a physical confrontation with somebody, never had their adrenaline take over, because they don't know what goes on. They don't know who's supposed to be commanding a scene. Does the canine officer automatically take over the scene when they get there? No, they do not. That's another problem. Handlers are not being trained well enough. They're going through a little, maybe a 10-day program or something along those lines. 10 days? Really? Come on, guys. If you're going to civilians and purchasing dogs through civilians, and they have no idea what a dual personality dog is, they're buying dogs that are already trained for Schutzen, maybe Schutzen 3 or something like that, trained over in Germany or over in Belgium and wherever, or they're trained for ring sport. It is a totally different ball game with those types of sporting dogs. They use food for training. They use flags. You wind up with dogs that are not only flag happy, but they're also sleeve happy, which means they have an equipment fixation. Then you wind up with the dog that's in the elevator that sees the lady's coat that looks like it's a bite suit, and he's having to hold the dog's mouth shut. We need to get it together, folks. There needs to be national standards. And if you know anybody that's civilians and you're not, and you're mentoring them instead of correcting them, then you're putting everybody else at risk. This is why, if they're going to introduce this bill, they're doing it, and they're probably going to wind up passing it if we don't get our shit together. Don't just be a mentor. Be a critic.